Sharvano. Sharvano, darya doste dezano, keske soran azmano, yanchek.
You've tuned in to 3CR's new program, Behind Closed Doors. Please listen to our disclaimer. This program explores all topics relating to sex work. The show is hosted by several sex worker peer hosts, and we pride ourselves on facilitating a comfortable space for sex workers to share their experiences. Behind Closed Doors aims to uncover what the sex industry is really like. We value the varied opinions and experiences of sex workers, and we also appreciate questions and curiosities from the general public. Our program, Behind Closed Doors, exists to bridge the gaps. Please be mindful that the nature of this program may not be for you and is not suited for little ears. There is also possibility of explicit language used.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Behind Closed Doors on 3CR 855 AM and digital. I'm your host for today, Dean Lim, and over the last several weeks, I've had the amazing opportunity to chat with a lot of people from my part of the community, which is mainly male identifying workers. Male workers represent approximately 20% of the entire community. We're usually quite invisible because we are often online and working by ourselves. In Melbourne, Victoria, there are no male-only brothels, so that has made the presence of online or the facility for online work to be much more prevalent. My fellow presenters, Kitty Galore and Sassy Sin, will take the reins of the show over the coming weeks to present some incredible content from their part of the community. On Behind Closed Doors, we like to showcase the diversity of the sex worker community. It's great to hear other voices of people who don't usually get heard in the media space, as sometimes it can be quite cluttered or dominated by one or two individuals or groups. On today's episode, I'm chatting with Leo, a heterosexual and male identifying sex worker whose main clientele are women, and male identifying heterosexual workers who cater primarily to women are even a smaller group within the sex worker community. Welcome to Behind Closed Doors, Leo.
Hi, Dean. Thank you for having me.
So you've been a male escort for some time. What were you doing before you became a sex worker?
I've been a male escort for women for more than 10 years, and before then I was studying and working on the family farm. Back when I was studying, I've done a diploma of remedial massage and a certificate 3 in horticulture. Pretty much always wanted to be a male escort since I was around the age of 16.
All right. What made you decide to, go into the sex industry or sex worker industry at the age of 16?
Obviously, I didn't start when I was 16, but I did have the dream of knowing that that's what I wanted to do. I guess I got to an age during high school where I thought, hey, one day I'll be finished studying and got to go out into the big wide world. So what would I like to do? And this came up on the top of my list. I just thought, that sounds like something different. I've always been a thinking out of the box type of person, doing things differently. I really just love to please people and love to be there for people.
How did the thought even enter your head?
I'm not exactly sure. Like, all I remember is being 16 and having a little notebook of things that I wanted to do, different business ventures, dreams really, things I'd like to do in my life. And this was right up the top, so I'm not sure how I got it there.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Were there any role models or people that you looked up to go, okay, well, that's how I could be a successful male escort?
Well, I suppose you might laugh at this one, Dean, and our listeners, but Richard Gere from Pretty Woman and American Gigolo.
Okay.
And maybe Juice Bigelow as well. So when I was about 17 or 18, I walk into the video store at my local video store. They used to have them back then.
Yes.
Now it's all online streaming, but
Yes.
Went and rented out Juice Bigelow, Male Gigolo, American Gigolo. The guy there was probably wondering, what's this kid all about?
But you know that that's fiction.
Yeah, of course, and of course, Dean. And in all honesty, being a male escort and doing the work, doing this every day is completely different to all those movies. But but I suppose if I was, I didn't know where to look for a role model, and I just knew that this was my calling, if you will, like my mission, what I wanted to do in life, and so I just thought, why not see what they say in the movies?
But in terms of information, support,
Yep.
how did you get advice?
Well, I suppose I just found my own way, really. I didn't have any friends who were sex workers at the time. Like, since I've been in the industry, I've got a lot of friends who are sex workers as well. But at the time, starting out, I didn't really know where to look for information. So I just jumped on Google and did my own research and just really self-educated, learned as I go. And then, like, a few years back, realized that there are these different quite early on, that there are these different organizations to help sex workers and people in the industry. But yeah, at the time when I started out over 10 years ago, I just really went out on my own and just self-educated, really, and learned as I went.
So just a learning process through experience, trial by error.
Yeah.
And figuring it out yourself. Along the way, both in your personal life and your working life, were there any challenges that you faced?
In my personal life, well, to start out, that's an interesting point, Dean. When I think about that, I was raised in a loving family. I haven't had any past traumas or anything like that. But then when I think about it, in my second year of high school, I was quite bullied. And looking back on it, I'm not really sure why. It's just because kids bully other kids for no reason.
So when you were bullied in high school, how did you deal with it?
Really, I just went into myself, just went into my own little space, like sat in the library at lunchtime, just kept to myself, really. And then eventually, I guess you could say I had a social anxiety. I just didn't want to be around people anymore except for my own family. And I actually started doing homeschool through the Distance Education Centre of Victoria, which was wonderful. I did that for around 2.5 years until the start of year 11. And I was acing it, man. I was top level scores in Japanese language learning, science, poetry, in English. I was winning all these awards and things. And then I just really thought, I just want to get back with people my own age. And I was fortunate enough to go to a wonderful high school, which I won't mention, but when I started year 11, and I really came out of my cocoon, came out as a social butterfly, and I've never looked back. And I just remembered that when I actually went to a new high school in year 11, I actually wrote a rap song about, about how I'd been bullied and how I was like feeling a bit anxious and depressed for quite a while. But saying that, I was completely happy being at home by myself. So I wasn't unhappy. I loved it. But then I just wanted to get back out there. I just happened to write this rap song and everyone just thought, hey, this kid's cool. And I was like, oh, high school celebrity. So I've really never looked back. And obviously now with what I do, I've spread my wings much further than that in terms of being social.
Being in the industry now and being social, do you still have times when you have social anxiety, or you've sort of figured out how to moderate it?
Interesting you ask that, because anxiety is a very real issue that a lot of people have no control over and have to find ways to deal with it. I'm fortunate in that only affected me at that stage of my life, and now I don't have any type of anxiety. Love doing what I do.
During that time, that difficult time in high school, did you see therapists and have that kind of support?
No, I didn't. I, of course, had the option as I left high school and went to a psychologist to qualify for distance education or homeschooling for a while. That was part of the requirement. So I could have continued with that, but I thought, no, I'm happy. I'm happy to be away from other kids. I'm happy to be by myself. And I just went through that period of my life. And then I was happy to come back into a new school and socialize again.
How do you stay focused
Yep.
in this industry where there are a lot of distractions with, drugs, alcohol, even with sex?
I just find I've never experienced that, so I'm really happy with what I do and really focused on what I do. yeah, I'm just a social drinker and never touch drugs at all. So
In terms of being active, do you do other things? Like, you have mentioned to me, in conversations that you go to the gym.
yeah, sure. So I do.
Is that part of you taking care of yourself as well?
Oh, definitely, Dean. I do have my own gym equipment and weights at home, which I do regularly. I find being in peak physical condition really is not only important because it makes me feel like look my best, or at least try and look my best. It makes it much more easier when the body is in peak physical shape, or at least getting a good bit of exercise, to keep your mind in a good mental place, in peak mental condition, which also affects how you are in your emotional condition.
Okay, we're going to have a short announcement, and we will be back on Behind Closed Doors on 3CR 855 AM.
Tune in to the station that gives voices to sex workers. Subscribe to 3CR.
The only way that we can have a safe world is understanding each other in our difference, limiting the economic disparities between peoples of the world, and not saying that some people deserve dignity and respect and others don't. They're the pathways to safety and security, and we need to have the courage to say we have to continue to have those complex dialogues about how we move forward so that the values of diversity and inclusivity are in everybody's hearts, and maybe even the hearts of politicians.
3CR celebrating diversity since 1976, 855 on your AM dial.
Back in the studio on Behind Closed Doors, 3CR 855 AM and digital. With me I have Leo, a male escort for women, and we've been chatting about his life, how he began, and challenges that he's had, and how he's overcome some of his challenges. What type of clients do you usually have?
So I do have a wide variety of clients from all different ages.
And are they mainly female identifying, or they're male as well?
Yes, all females and female identifying. They come from a range of age groups and backgrounds and life experiences.
Just to preface this, for our listeners who may not know this sector of the industry, as a male escort for women only, it's actually a really small percentage of our industry. The main sector of the sex worker community is female identifying sex workers. Being a male escort for women, that's even smaller again. How do you see your own sexuality in this industry, where you market yourself as a male escort for women? And do you get inquiries from men, and do you have male clients?
I do have a lot of inquiries from men, and I only have female identifying clients. I'm heterosexual, and while it is a much smaller percentage of the market, female identifying clients seeking a male identifying sex worker or escort, I find that's just my niche, and that's what I just fit right into.
So you're able to say to clients, this is who I am, this is the type of clients that you prefer, and you stick to that.
Yep.
So I guess it's about having clear boundaries and clear guideline for clients to say, well, this is who I am, and these are the services I offer. Clear negotiation and communication.
That's a very important thing, is the clear negotiation and communication as to what the service is all about. A lot of my bookings are in evenings, or occasionally overnight as well. It can be anywhere from a hotel in the city, it can be in the suburbs or the countryside. I don't know really where I'm going to end up each day until I look at my calendar for the next week.
Given that we have a legislative model for sex work here in Victoria, and that means that sex workers need to be registered, how do you usually conduct your business?
I don't find any trouble with working within the legislation, being registered with the Business Licensing Authority. All of my bookings are out calls, so I do go out to a client's home or hotel, although I think the laws should be amended a little bit in this way. So if some sex workers did want to be able to have in-calls, that should be completely allowed.
If and when we have full decriminalisation of our industry, and then it would allow for having in-calls, would you do in-calls?
I would be open to the idea of eventually buying an apartment in the city if there was demand for clients to want to come to a place that I already have. Yeah, just watch this space is all I can say.
How do you relax after a job?
One of my things I love to do is exercise, so whether it's a jog and also working out and bike riding as well. Also, I just love to relax at home, spend time with my dogs. I have a few pugs, they're my little babies. I also like to just sit back and drink cups of tea and relax. I love gardening as well.
That was great. You have some hobbies to occupy your time and to really relax. Does your family or close friends know about your work?
No, they don't. I do have a few close friends that know.
For your plans for the future, what do you see happening for you?
Well, I would love to, and I am going to remain doing what I'm doing as long as I'm fit and able.
You've also mentioned that you had trained as a remedial massage therapist. Do you also incorporate that into your time with your client?
And I do incorporate that into bookings. I do specialize in massage.
Leo, what advice would you give to your younger self if you were starting out?
Maybe when I was being bullied in early high school, I'd say never give up. You can achieve anything and you will.
Well, that's good advice. That's really supportive, encouraging advice.
Well, I think in hindsight, we can all go back and give ourselves, former selves, some advice based on what we've experienced.
Your social media posts are great. They're full of wonderful and inspiring messages and quotes. Where does your source of inspiration come from?
I have occasionally been nicknamed the quote doctor, as people use social media for all different things, but that's really the only thing I use it for, sharing inspirational and motivating quotes. Sometimes I'll just hear something in a song or read something in a book or even see a quote somewhere in the street, really, anywhere in life, and say, hey, I should share this so other people can benefit from this same good feeling that I'm getting from it.
Do you spend a lot of time researching it?
So some days I just think of an area I'd like to do a quote about and write into Google inspirational quotes about this thing. I'm learning as well, and then I pick the one that sounds right on that day.
With your inspirational quotes, it's about a lot of positivity, being in the present. With your future, do you ever see yourself getting married and settling down, having a family?
No, I don't, Dean. I'm not the settling down type, and it's not something I've ever thought that I'd like to do. And as well as that, I'm committed to everything I do, which is an escort, personal life coach. And our listeners can't see here, but I've actually got a ring on my wedding ring finger. And you could say I'm married to what I do, really. Married to life.
Okay, so you're married to life, married to your work. In the future, though, it's hard to predict because we don't have a crystal ball. How do you know for certain that you would never settle down or get married?
I know for certain, Dean.
You do?
Yeah, and I've also wrote a blog a few years ago titled For As Long As We Both Shall Live, saying pretty much that I'll be here for as long as you and I live. I'm committed for the long run. I love what I do and I want to always be there for everyone.
Have you been in a situation where you've had relationships and you thought, oh, this could be the one, or this is a long-term relationship and that's where I'll be with this person?
Not really. After a lot of soul searching, marriage is not for me.
You're listening to 3CR Community Radio 855 AM. Visit the 3CR website at 3cr.org.au/podcast to hear the most recent recording from each show, or 3cr.org.au/streaming to listen live.
Welcome back, everyone, on 3CR's Behind Closed Doors. I'm your host for today, Dean Lim, and in the studio I've been chatting with Leo, a male escort for women. All right, Leo, you see your clients on an out-call basis, which means that you go out to see them in their hotels or where they live, in their homes.
So I do also offer the service of being a travelling companion. So I do see a few clients for interstate holidays or overseas holidays.
And when you say travelling companion, what does that involve?
Well, it involves everything and anything really, Dean. Being there for someone as a companion, and that may include everything from massage, body rubs, sex, and everything else like touring, looking around the local areas that we're going to performances, finding out about the local culture that we travel to.
Okay, so you're actually being a tourist with them.
Ah, yeah, of course.
When you go with them, do people know that you're working?
No, not at all. So I just blend right in really, and I've got a fairly open, relaxed, chilled kind of personality. That's just how I am naturally, and I can just, yeah, blend right into any situation.
With social media as well, what I've noticed is quite a lot of sex workers will post that they are in a particular city or country and they're touring and working. They won't say who their clients are, but they'll have pictures of hotel rooms or pools or whatever facilities are around and saying, I am now available or I am working. Do you do that on your social media?
No, that is fine for other people to do that. Nothing against it, but I'm just a bit more discreet. So I'd rather no one needs to know where I am. For example, a few weeks ago, I was overseas and with a client, all I wrote on my Facebook was a YouTube video of Arnold saying, "I'll be back."
So it sounds like you want to be very discreet for your clients.
Definitely.
Do you enjoy traveling with them?
I find it really eye-opening experience to travel to new places, but especially traveling with people who I enjoy their company.
Have you had any tricky situations when you've gone away and you thought, oh, hang on, we actually don't click?
No, I really don't go away with a client unless I've seen them for quite a while. We have a fairly good rapport.
Have you had issues with clients or challenges with clients?
I have quite a few years ago had one or two clients who became a bit too emotionally attached to me, then started going on Facebook, social media and stalking and contacting people, things like this. And I was like, sorry, I can't see you again. I'm really sorry that you got this impression, you know. Since that time, quite a few years ago, I've been really sure to make sure that I keep the professional boundary quite clear with clients to make sure that nothing like that ever happens again.
That's right, because it's work and we all need to have professional boundaries in place.
Yeah.
With being a sex worker, it actually takes a lot out of you. In my experience, it's not just about a simple transaction for reward or money. It actually takes a lot out of you in terms of emotional, mental, sexual energy. How have you found being in this industry and basically keeping sane and surviving it?
I find that I am fortunately lucky, I think, give out a positive energy that I have. For example, I'm contacted regularly by email and text messages by a lot of males saying, hey, I'd love to be a male escort. How do I do it? Right? And I don't have time to reply to them. My advice to people thinking of being an escort or wondering what it's like is that to an outsider who hasn't been working in the industry, providing personal services like this, it's not what you'd imagine. It's hugely intense, the amount of energy that we have to give. Nothing like the movies either.
That's right. It's nothing like the movies. And it is work and it is tough work. How do you remain positive?
Being in the industry can take a lot of energy. To remain positive, I sometimes just meditate, take a deep breath, just breathe in, breathe out, and yeah, just remind myself what I'm doing this for, which is my mission is to serve people and to serve women and make them feel great. I just think, okay, I'm ready to go. I find that I'm really lucky. I feel blessed that I am able to find a quiet, relaxed space within and just look inside myself.
Thanks for your time today, Leo.
Thank you, Dean. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you.
You've been listening to Behind Closed Doors on 3CR 855 AM. Tune in again next Thursday, 6 p.m, when we'll have another episode with lots of information, chats, and points of view about the sex worker industry. Coming up is the Radioactive Show. Before we go, I've got Sassy in the studio with me, and we're going to talk about the Melbourne Cup Day, which is the first Tuesday in November. Hi, Sassy.
Hi.
All right, so what's happening next week?
So on the 5th of November, we're having a Melbourne Cup protest. It's called Fashions on the Field. So hashtag with a nub to cup, to the cup.
It's spelled Fashhuns.
On the field. It's an event that is against animal cruelty. We don't support horse racing whatsoever. This event is to show people that you can still have fun on Melbourne Cup Day without any animal cruelty.
What is happening on that day?
You can have a picnic, you bring your rug, you bring your drink. There's going to be vegan food, so which you can purchase, and also a bar truck where you can purchase your alcohol. It's also, we advise people to come with no fur, no leathers, no feathers, no meat, no cruelty, in support of animals' right for this event.
Happening at Newmarket Reserve?
Yeah, it's literally opposite the Flemington Racecourse, just outside.
Right, okay. And is there a cost to go to this event?
No, it's free.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's a free event. Everybody can come. Dress up, please. And there's also a prize money to be won if you join in the competition in the fashion.
Ah.
So I am one of the 5 judges, so I'll be judging you that day.
All right, and it's from, I think, 10 o'clock until
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
So if you want to get more info, you just check out the Facebook page. It's Fashions on the Field, Melbourne Cup protests, and you will find more details on there. And if those who would like to join into the competition for the fashion, please sign up soon. You will find the link in the discussion on the Facebook page.
Sounds like a lot of fun. That's a great event.
It is a great event. We need to support this. I mean, I'm guilty for been supporting Melbourne Cup every year, and this is the first year that I've declined all invitation and job offers and try to do good things for what's right.
We need more events like this that raise awareness.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And also to show that, you know, as sex workers, we're not defined by our work. We have outside interests.
Yes,
and it's,
definitely.
And it's really great to see that, you know, you have outside interests,
Yeah.
that you are doing something to support other communities as well.
Well, we all human. I mean, sex workers or not, we are all human beings. So we all have a heart, and we should do the right thing.
Well, I'm looking forward to checking it all out next
I can't wait to see you
Tuesday.
there.
See you there?
Uh-huh.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Tune in next Thursday, 6 p.m. for another episode of Behind Closed Doors. This is Smile by Shaggy and Tamar Hosni.
Breathe in and out. You're listening to 3CR.
Show you smile.
Come on, stick. Shoot it. Don't bother to know that. Watch out. Love up on the case now. Love up on the case now. So bring the love and man, you are my sweet, but I stand Mr. Lover down. Put the top back on a drop, Cadillac, summer in a Kingston, hot, as you did a rock. Me have the range, you got came, them a bag of chat. Me not carry one pop, bring a bag of shot. Tama say you want to, cause your body hot, girl, you beautiful, smile like how me want.
We share love and joy and happiness. We share love and joy and happiness. Keep it up, baby, see tomorrow and forget about the sorrow. Keep it up, baby, see tomorrow and forget about the sorrow. love and joy and happiness.
Cause we got the alternative energy, molecular-free autonomy.
And welcome to the Radioactive Show, produced at the studios of 3CR Melbourne.